right, so today we're going to be doing a deep dive on a really, I think, interesting topic,
Yeah.
which is how to get to that first $100,000.
Yeah.
We hear a lot about how once you hit $100,000 net worth, uh, things really start to explode.
Absolutely.
And so, we've got some sources here. You've got a millionaire. We're going to be looking at some thoughts from financial experts.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually wanted to start off with a Charlie Munger quote.
Okay.
Have you heard this one before?
I think so. Which one are you thinking of?
Okay, so this is Charlie Munger, super famous investor.
Right.
Basically Warren Buffett's right-hand man.
Yeah.
He says, the first $100,000 is a bitch, but you got to do it. I don't care what you have to do. Find a way to get your hands on $100,000.
Well, he's not messing around.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
And I think that really sets the tone for, what we're going to be talking about
That's
today.
tricky.
But why $100,000?
Well, I think Munger being so blunt, I think kind of cuts through all the noise and just gets straight to the point.
Okay.
And I think it boils down to this idea that, like, to get to that $100,000, it forces you to develop the habits
Okay.
that you need for serious wealth building.
Yeah.
You learn to, like, delay gratification.
Yeah.
You make those smarter choices and you learn how to hustle.
Mm-hmm.
And you prove to yourself that you can do that.
Okay.
And it's like a foundation for building wealth.
So it's not really about the money itself, but about the skills that you build on the way to getting that first 100,000.
Exactly. And it changes your mindset.
Yeah.
Because once you hit that $100,000, it's not just about the skills and the mindset you've developed, but then it really comes down to, like, the practical side of things too, capital scaling.
Okay.
So think about it like this. If you invest and you get a 10% return on $100, that's only $10, right? But if you get a 10% return on $100,000, that's $10,000.
Yeah. That's a pretty big difference.
Huge difference, right?
Yeah.
Same level of risk.
Yeah.
But when you're playing at a higher level with more capital,
Yeah.
your returns are magnified.
So it's like moving up to a different league or something.
Exactly. And that's when this idea of compound interest really starts to take hold.
Okay.
It's like the snowball analogy. Have you ever heard that one?
Yeah. It starts small, but then it just picks up more and more snow.
Exactly. As it rolls down the hill, it gets bigger and bigger.
Okay, so how does that snowball effect work with investments, though?
Okay, so let's say you're investing $10,000 a year, and you're getting a 7% average annual return.
Which is pretty reasonable for the stock market.
Totally reasonable. Yeah, historically speaking, that's what we've seen.
Okay.
So to get to $100,000, it would take about 7.84 years.
Yep.
Now, to get from 100,000 to 200,000, that doesn't take another 7.84 years.
Oh, interesting.
It actually takes less time
Okay.
because you have that $100,000 working for you now.
It's already making money.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
to get to $200,000, it only takes about 5.1 years.
Oh, wow. Okay, so the snowball is like picking up speed.
Yes. And then to go from 200,000 to 300,000, that takes even less time, about 3.78 years.
All right.
So what happens is that as you build that initial capital,
Yeah.
you hit that $100,000 mark, and then it just starts to accelerate.
So even though it feels really slow at first,
Yeah.
to get to that initial 100,000,
Yeah.
once you get there, it's almost like a hockey stick, right?
Exactly. It just shoots up.
Yeah.
Like their upward curve really takes off.
Cool. Okay, so it's about playing the long game.
Definitely a long game.
And this is actually something that the millionaire that we interviewed really emphasized.
Oh.
He said that, he spent years hustling and making sacrifices to hit that first 100,000.
Yeah.
But once he got there, he was like, that was the best investment I ever made because it set me up for everything else.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like setting the foundation for a skyscraper.
Yeah.
You got to get that solid base
Okay.
before you can really build something amazing.
Totally. Yeah.
It's interesting, he didn't come from wealth at all.
Oh, really?
He had to figure out how to build it all himself from scratch,
Okay.
which I think is why his story is so relatable,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's inspiring to hear that even millionaires had to start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's be real. It's easy to get caught up in that instant gratification.
Oh, totally.
How do we resist that urge to spend and really stay focused on the long-term goal of getting to that first 100,000?
Well, that's where his system comes in. He calls it the growth method.
Okay.
And it's basically a set of principles that he followed to hit that milestone.
Okay, I like the growth method.
Yeah.
All right, so let's break this down. Where do we even begin with this?
So the first step is G, which stands for gain control of your finances.
Okay.
And that all starts with having a budget.
Okay, now I know for a lot of people when they hear the word budget, they think restriction.
Right.
Um, did he had a different perspective on that?
He did. He actually saw budgeting as a way to just like understand where his money was going.
Okay.
And then from there, make conscious choices about how he wanted to spend it.
So it's more about like awareness than restriction.
Exactly. It's about aligning your spending with your values and goals.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah. So once you've gained control of your finances, the next step is all about putting your money to work.
Okay.
So root your investments.
Okay, so this is where we start planting the seeds for that snowball.
Yes, exactly. And the key here is time.
Okay.
The earlier you start investing, even with small amounts, the more time you have for that compound interest to work its magic.
Yeah, he had a really interesting example about this. Something about investing like $250 a month.
Yes, so he showed how investing $250 per month in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund
Okay.
could grow to over $656,000 in 40 years,
Whoa.
assuming a 7% average annual return,
Okay.
and over $536,000 of that would be pure profit from compound interest.
So you're telling me that like even small, consistent investments over time can really add up.
Absolutely. It's
Right.
like planting a tiny acorn that grows into a giant oak tree.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got G, gain control, R, root your investments. What's O?
O is optimize your tax management.
Okay, I got to admit, taxes aren't really my favorite topic.
I know, right?
But he did have a good point about using your passions to your advantage when it came to taxes.
Yes, he did. He talked about how he started a YouTube channel where he just reviewed gadgets
Okay.
because he was really into tech. And so he turned that into a business, which allowed him to write off those expenses.
Oh, interesting.
So basically, he was getting those gadgets tax-free.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah. So it's about finding those opportunities.
Okay, but for those of us who aren't ready to like launch a full-blown business, are there like any simpler ways to optimize taxes
Totally.
while we're still on the path to $100,000?
Yeah. So one of the easiest things you can do is max out your retirement contributions
Okay.
because that money grows tax-deferred.
Okay.
And so you're not actually paying taxes on it until you withdraw it in retirement.
Oh, so it's like you're getting a bonus from the government for saving for your future.
Kind of, yeah. And then there's other things like deductions you might be eligible for, like student loan interest
Uh-huh.
or home office expenses if you work from home.
Okay, so it's about being informed
Yeah,
and taking advantage of what's out there.
exactly.
Okay, so we've got gain control, root your investments, optimize your taxes. What's W?
W is all about getting rid of the things that are holding you back.
Okay.
Weed out debts.
Yeah, debt can feel like a huge obstacle when you're trying to build wealth.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's like trying to roll that snowball uphill.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What was his advice on how to tackle debt?
So he stressed the importance of understanding your debt first
Okay.
and then making a plan to pay it off strategically.
Okay.
So start by listing out all of your debts and their interest rates,
Mhm.
and then prioritize paying down those high interest debts first.
Okay, because those are the ones that are costing you the most money.
Exactly. It's all about making progress, even if it's just a little bit at a time.
He had this great phrase for these like small payments. He called them tiny snowflake payments.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
It sounds a lot less daunting that way.
Right.
Okay, so you're basically chipping away at your debt while at the same time building that snowball of investments.
Exactly. It's like a positive feedback loop as you reduce your debt.
Yeah.
You free up more resources to invest, which accelerates your progress towards that first 100,000.
This is really making me rethink like my approach to money. It's not just about earning more, but about managing what you have better.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we weeded out the debts. What's next?
All right. So the next step is T.
Oh, yeah.
Tap into additional streams of income.
Okay, so this is where the hustle comes in?
This is where the hustle comes in. Yeah.
He was a big believer in side hustles, right?
Huge believer. He actually mentioned how even people with six-figure salaries
Wow.
are embracing side hustles.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
So it's not just about the extra income, although that's definitely a perk,
Yeah.
but it's also about diversifying your income streams,
Okay.
which reduces your risks.
So it's like having multiple safety nets.
Exactly. If one income stream dries up, you have others to fall back on.
That makes sense.
Plus, you get to develop new skills, explore different passions. You might even discover hidden talents that you never knew you had.
Okay, so it's not just about the money. It's also about like personal growth too.
Totally.
All right, that's
Right.
great. But it sounds like it takes a lot of discipline to juggle a full-time job, a side hustle, and all these other financial strategies.
You're absolutely right. And that brings us to the final piece of the growth method,
Okay.
which is heightened self-discipline.
Okay.
He actually called discipline the currency of success.
Wow.
And it's so true. Without it, even the best laid plans will fall apart.
So it's not just about knowing what to do, but actually doing it consistently.
Exactly. It's about showing up for yourself even when it's hard,
Yeah.
even when you're tired, even when you'd rather be doing something else.
Yeah.
Building that muscle of discipline is essential for achieving any goal,
Okay.
but especially hitting that first $100,000.
So the growth method is like a framework for building not just wealth, but also character.
Absolutely. It's about developing those habits and the mindset that will just serve you well
Yeah.
throughout your life.
This has been really insightful. I'm starting to see the path to $100,000
Yeah.
and beyond in a whole new light.
Glad.
It's not just about luck or timing.
Yeah.
It's about really taking control
Yeah. Yeah.
and making these smart choices.
Exactly. You have the power to shape your financial future.
It's like a mindset shift almost.
Yeah, definitely. Like that first $100,000 is like a trophy.
Yeah.
But the real prize is like the financial literacy you build along the way,
Yeah.
the discipline and the confidence you gain.
Right.
Those are the things that are going to pay dividends for the rest of your life.
And even if we make mistakes along the way, we stumble.
Right.
The key is to just keep learning and keep going, right?
Yeah, exactly. No one's perfect. And there are going to be bumps in the road, but you just got to learn from those mistakes, adjust your course,
Yeah.
and just keep that snowball rolling.
So for anyone listening who's feeling really inspired and ready to start building their own snowball to $100,000 and beyond,
Yeah.
what's like the one piece of advice you would leave them with?
Start today. Don't wait for like the perfect moment or the perfect plan. Just
Yeah.
take a small step, create a budget.
Mm-hmm.
Research some investment options.
Okay.
Look into a side hustle idea.
Yeah.
Or even just make an extra debt payment.
Okay.
Action breeds momentum.
Yeah.
And even a small action today can create huge results down the line.
I love that it's about taking that first step and then just keeping that momentum going.
Exactly.
So knowing the power of that first $100,000, what is one action that you will take today to start building your snowball?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Let us know in the comments or on social media. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, and we can all support each other on this journey to financial success.
Keep rolling that snowball until next time.